Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Menard. Today is Friday, January 12th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. Following board members are present this morning by stating their names on the record, certify they reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, I'm panel member Page.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Good morning, panel member Dorgan.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Good morning. My name is Lawrence Lavolsi. Inmate number is 386-241.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of a parole application from Lawrence Lavolsi, inmate number 386-241, is serving a sentence of 48 months jail class sentence for violation of probation of the underlying offense of possession with intent, sale of narcotics, conveying an unauthorized item into an institution, disorderly conduct, 2 counts of failure to appear second, 4 counts of larceny 6, reckless endangerment, possession of a controlled substance, larceny 4, and a use of motor vehicle without permission. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of March 23rd, 2023. There's no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the Tier 2 program and is participating in that program. Utilizing a statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Good evening, or good morning, you guys. I just, also want to say that thank you for, the opportunity to see me today. As you can probably tell, I'm pretty nervous. This is, for my freedom. What had taken place up to me getting incarcerated, is, all been going through my head since I've been incarcerated. And, I'm extremely remorseful and extremely sympathetic to the people that were, in my way because of addiction. And as a result, I ended up harming, people that were involved. And,
I think you need to add the word innocent people involved, because the way you're sounding, it sounds like people were in your way, preventing you from getting what you wanted.
No, and that's what I mean. The people that were innocent that had no reason even being around, me, that, I think about that, and I think about the people that I harmed, and it just, it makes me want to just live a different life, just a little bit about myself. I grew up in a really good household. Both my parents were artists. I went to school for art. Yep.
I saw that because we have some
background.
We had some support letters from your one of your parents' professors.
Yes, and
you look at her like a grandma.
Yeah, well, no, more like a mother. She's, extremely an amazing person, an amazing soul. And, one of the things she taught me is to always leave your mark on this world. And, at plus 85 years old, she's still working every single day to leave her mark on this world and a true legacy, which, since incarcerated, I can only say that, my life before being incarcerated, I wasn't doing that. I was not doing that. And
you were.
I was leaving my mark in a terrible way, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to leave that kind of mark. My father as well, my mother, both left amazing legacies. We're known in Litchfield County. Before, my drug addiction, I was in the newspaper all the time for my art, for my accomplishments. I worked with kids at Foreman School, Devereaux. These are all adolescents who, I taught how to blow glass. I taught art, and, I had such joy doing that, and as soon as drugs came, I started to not care about anything but that. And as a result, it made me make terrible, poor choices, Obviously, taking a car, having people in danger, larcenies, all these things that came with it. And I look at the sheer list of things that had taken place up to that point, up to me getting incarcerated. It's bad, the plan that I have, if you guys do end up giving me parole, is I want to try and get to New Haven. New Haven is an area where I have a bunch of friends who are all huge assets in my life that are, sober supports. They're doing amazing. They're just here for me, and they're willing to extend their hand to make sure that I do the right thing, and if I go back to Waterbury, I go back to Litchfield County, I know it's going to be a recipe for disaster. I can just guarantee you that, and I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to make and pave the best possible outcome, so.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate your opening statement, Mr. Lavalsi. Is that right, Lavalsi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what's going to happen here is each of us will take an opportunity to ask you some questions.
Okay.
When we're done with our questions, we'll deliberate and then we'll give you our decision, okay?
Absolutely.
We wish you the best of luck. Mr. Dargan, we'll start with the questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Very well. So, I guess it would be an understatement to state that your issues are related to addiction, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. But even when you're incarcerated, you get a ticket for substances. Is that accurate?
Right. So the day that I was arrested or picked up by the bounty hunters, I ended up having something that was left after they searched me. And, still with this in my system, the drugs in my system, I thought it was a good idea to continue to bring it into the facility, which ended up being the worst possible thing. I saw somebody in a bullpen that I knew we used together, and I didn't know that he had 4 months clean. So when I gave him that bag, he ended up overdosing. So now when that happened, I went into shock, so I called the guards, they came through. So not only was that a wake up, and it happened right at the beginning of me being incarcerated. If you look at the dates, the very next day, July 22nd, 2021, the day after I got arrested. So
okay. So you're taking tier 2, right?
Yeah. But also,
what were you able to get out of that program?
So, I mean, in tier 2, I think one of the biggest things that I got out of that program is that, there's not always going to be somebody around that you could call. There's not going to be somebody that is going to be able to pick up the phone if I'm in risk of trying to get high, right? So you got to put those tools together. And I think that that's what I really got out of it. What should I do if that problem arises, And to say that those problems didn't arise while I was incarcerated, I would be not telling you the truth. Those things happen in this facility and every facility that I've been in, and I said, I don't want any part of that. And I think that was a big part of that instance that happened when I first got in. And, I just got those tools, I feel like, from tier 2. And that's the biggest thing because, I'm going to be left to my own devices,
Right. So how long have you been sober or drug free or whatever you want to call it?
Since that day. So July 22nd, 2021. And I actually brought paperwork with me today from the Matap Programs with all my drug screens.
So how do we continue you to stay sober or drug free? What's your game plan? Are you looking to get a sponsor? Are you looking to attend NA meetings? Are you looking to go to CCAR? Tell me what your game plan is.
So actually all of those plus more. when I was over at Colorado Robinson, I got really involved with CCAR, right? So they set me up with a counselor that I could talk to here in Enfield, but then also when I leave to go into New Haven. Also with that in New Haven, like I was telling you before, I have a huge sober support. That's, where I have a temporary sponsor right now that is willing to pick me up as soon as I, start meetings out there. I got really involved with, some of the time that I had while I was incarcerated. I got involved with NAAA, and I got published actually in a NANAA world newsletters.
Because I read something that one time you were looking to go to a sober house, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So I got actually, that's where my sponsor, he's one of the managers at that house in New Haven.
I bring that up because I just read an article this week about an individual that owns a sober house that just got arrested for selling drugs to the individuals that were in the sober house. So just to let you know, I just want to bring that to your attention.
Yeah.
So you think that you have a strong game plan with individuals in the community that will be there to be of help and assistance to you, right?
Absolutely. And so the other thing too is like, every time that I ever was, I was told to go to therapy or to a psychiatrist, and it was always court appointed. You know what I mean? So little thing, like right before I ended up getting arrested, my father had passed away in 2015. So I started to go to therapy, just as a recommendation from a friend of mine, said, hey, you should go to therapy. And I started to actually get a lot out of it, and so one of my friends, she had said to me, she was like, listen, self-care and taking care of yourself is so attractive. And so once I heard that, I started to think like, okay, well, I'm actually getting things out of this, like I could just dump my problems and talk about the things that I don't want to talk about, with another guy or another fellow, guy.
I also read, I think in the past that you did programming back in 2010 too, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So court appointed.
Yeah. So, I think you have a, good game plan when you are released. The other thing I bring up about New Haven, in their city hall too, they have what's called a reentry program. I bring it up every time for anybody that's looking to go in the halfway house, and it's like a one-stop shop, right? I mean, available maybe for job opportunities, healthcare, housing, CCAR, NA meetings, whatever. So you should avail yourself of those resources too when you are released, okay?
Sir, can I ask, is that the reach? Is that called reach or just the re-entry?
It's a program that's done through some of the major cities whereby it's like a re-entry program that some of the mayors have put together to be helpful to people that have been incarcerated and they're re-entering society. Okay?
Right. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much for answering my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gargan. Ms. Palmieri?
Thank you. So, Mr. Levolsi, did I pronounce that properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, a couple of things. When I'm looking at the picture, your picture from when you were first incarcerated, and you're like two different people.
Yeah.
Your picture when you were arrested, you were like emaciated.
Yeah.
There's nothing to you. You look so much healthier, and I would think you feel a lot healthier.
Absolutely. I get goosebumps when I look at that photo, and I actually I asked for a picture of that so I could send it home and just show, but
You're like two different people. Barely recognize you. My other question was, so you're participating in the MAP program now?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I have mixed feelings about the MAP program, to be honest with you. I feel like a lot of people here mistreat it. And, when I first got on it, I got on it and I started going down because I wanted to be as a preventative, not as something that, gets you, because it could be intoxicating almost. People are using it as a form of intoxication in here. So I just wanted to be as a preventative, also I know that the program in New Haven offers more resources. So eventually I want to get off of it. My mother's been pushing me to get down low, and eventually I want to get the naltrexone shot. And I feel like that I was on it once before. I had 19 months clean. Obviously I have more than 19 months clean now, but everything changes when you leave.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I only asked because my other question, so I have a couple of parts that I was going to ask, what made you decide to involve yourself with the methadone program? That's my first question.
Well, so kind of like what I just said, obviously I wanted to be a preventative and I wanted it to help me with the cravings and the thoughts about using. I can't tell you the amount of times that it has come up in here, Bridgeport, Carl Robinson, the amount of times that I've seen drugs, right? And I feel like if I didn't have that in place, it could have been a dangerous thing, you know what I mean? And so not only did it stop my thought about wanting to use, but it's a preventative, it's not gonna do anything. So it helped then, but it also helped me to, focus my energy and my time in other areas.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So,
I do.
I don't know.
I do. And I asked that question because, there's often years ago, if you were on methadone or some other, you weren't really sober. But I think, and you just said it, is that it removes the cravings and allows you to focus on treatment, right? Your other areas. And it is a bit of a safety net. So yeah. I heard you, kind of hemming and hawing, and I think that you need to make a decision for yourself what you want to do with it once we've not so much what the community around you thinks is best. You sound like you had some thoughts about it already. You know what you need to do. And I only asked because I was interested to know if you volunteered for it and how it was working for you. And what I'm hearing is that it's working well for you. And another form of it, naltrexone helps you remain sober in the community for close to 2 years. Yeah, so I think you know what you need. It's a matter of doing it.
I think if I can just add something really quick, I think what everybody mistakes that is it's a cure-all, which it's not. Right. It's not a cure-all. You got so much more to do outside of taking a medication. Do you know what I mean? So
it's a piece of the treatment plan. It is not the treatment plan. Right. And I think as a board, we often are concerned when there's no form of therapy with the MAP program, whether it's at the facility or in the community, because the two need to go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
They each play their own role, but they and they help, they support one another, is what I was meaning to say. So I heard you say something else that I wanted to just mention. So you said I have this sober network and they're going to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And I wanted to sort of see if we can rephrase that a little bit, that they will support you in doing the right thing, because they're really your choices, and whatever you choose is going to happen.
And so all the friends that I was just explaining to you about, I mean, they're not going to be there and holding my hand. They're going to be there.
3 years old.
Right, exactly. They're gonna give me suggestions, but with a good suggestion, you have to have the willpower to want to do that. And I think that's part of what happened to me being incarcerated and sitting here is I can't tell you the amount of days that I went by and I said, I'm wasting life in here and I don't want that anymore. You know what I mean? So in going to New Haven and being around this sober support, I'm around people that, will say, hey, listen, I think that you should be going to more meetings, or, hey, I think that you should be, check this job out. These people are doing the right thing, So again, it's all, you could bring a horse to water, but it's up to the horse to drink. So it's kind of like the same scenario.
Right. And I think that part of being sober is being a little selfish, because you have to put your sobriety first, regardless of what else is going on. The other thing that I wanted, so I heard you say, court appointed and the court makes me do this. So you have no probation to follow your sentence today. It's 48 months flat. And if we were to grant you early release, you would be on parole for just a little under 2 years, it looks like. And there's going to be a lot of people telling you this is what you need to do, right? This is what you're required to do. So right. I feel like I'm hearing some negative perspective on that. And I caution you to be open-minded, as parole and probation officers have worked with many, many, many people in your situation, and often know, what will work or what will help you make it work. And as I like to say, they could save you from yourself. Right. So even though it's court appointed for a reason.
Right.
You're required to do it for a reason.
Right. Well, I think if I could just add that, I think I was looking at it in a bad way when it was court appointed. And that's kind of what I meant by that. When therapy was court appointed, or when they said go to AA meetings and it was court appointed, I was, reluctant to go. But now when it was, I looked at it in a different light, and it was helping me, and I could unload at therapy and come out feeling almost like a lead vest had been lifted up off of me. I felt good about going, and I wanted to go again. So, I know that, parole is definitely going to make me go through a lot of things that, I'm going to need to do, and,
and your success is their success, right? Nobody wants to be chasing you around writing warrants. If you're successful, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Navosi, I do not have any other questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Palmieri. So, Mr. Navosi, I don't have any questions for you. We're going to deliberate and give you our decision, so you can listen, but please don't interrupt. Don't feel the need to say, give us any more input, okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So anyways, in the case of Mr. Lavowski, it's understatement to say he struggles with addiction, right? So we all could agree on that, I assume. He has a high drug score, 5. He's got a flat sentence. My thought process is that the best would be to give him that opportunity for release. He seems to have a pretty strong release program. He just has to follow that, right? Or, as my colleague stated, he could back before us with that flat sentence. So at this time, I'm willing to give him the opportunity to go out as early as which already passed would be today, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm willing to give Mr. Lavosi the opportunity to go out on parole. I think he does have a well thought out release plan. Seems to have good support in the community, has done well with the program, seems to have benefited from them. He's got a long history of substance abuse. That at the age of 33, I'm hopeful that he's on a different path.
I understand. So for me, Mr. Lavosi sounds really, really good here today. He sounds confident. He does have the time that he's been in the facility with his sobriety. So I am happy to see and hear that. However, I'm on the other end of the fence, and that is because he has such a long history of substance abuse. And the fact that, when he was out there on probation, you know, his mentality was, okay, I'm going to jail anyway, so just let me run amok. And that's what he did. That's what he did. Lots of people suffered from his trying to support his own habit, and then coming into the facility and someone ODing on drugs that he brought in. It's all very concerning. And we didn't even touch base on the domestic violence that was the disorderly conduct where his girlfriend had a black eye. You know, so he does sound good here today. And I'm glad to hear that he has support in the community, and he has a relapse prevention plan that sounds very good. We received several letters of support. He has a sister and brother-in-law, his aunts, uncles, cousins. I just hope that he utilizes all those resources when he's out in the community, but I would deny his request today based on his criminal history, the offenses being committed while he was on probation. And he got into a fight recently, and even though they waived it, a fight is still. So those are my reasons. And I also do have conditions, because I understand I'm going on a minority. So I have no consumption of an alcoholic beverage. It's my understanding that this young man does not have a driver's license. So I would do a no driving condition. He also talked about his mental health. So we do a mental health evaluation and treatment. He did participate in domestic violence when he was in the facility. So I would do the second part of that in the community as well. And he asked for a halfway house. Is there anything else?
Yeah, did you say a halfway house? Do you got the victims and Cody's?
I did not list any victims or Cody's because there are no registered victims, and what Cody.
But you talked about in your decision of denying them about the former victim.
The girlfriend. I'm assuming that they're no longer together, right? Are you with that young lady?
No, ma'am.
That was LM.
Yeah, I mean, we can put that. That's fine if you want to add that. That's a general no contact though.
Yeah.
And the co-defendants were all his drug buddies. Yeah, if you want to list those, you gotta call them off because I did not write that down.
I just said two.
Just you,
I had a Seamus.
Byam and Stephanie Johnson.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Stephanie Johnson and who?
SENNAS Bayram.
Yeah.
A-S,
Yes.
CNS, A.
BAYRAM.
Okay, all right. Okay, so with regard to Lawrence Lavosi, 386241, there was a motion by majority decision to grant your request for discretionary parole on or after today's date, January 12, 2024, with the following conditions in addition to the standard parole conditions. You are to consume no alcoholic beverages. You are not to operate a motor vehicle without your parole officer's permission. You'll participate in a mental health evaluation and receive treatment as deemed necessary. You'll also complete the second part of the domestic violence program in the community. You ask for a halfway house, so that's a condition for your residential placement. No contact with the disorderly conduct victim. We're going to do a general no contact, initials LM, and also no contact with your co-defendant, Stephanie Johnson and CNS Bayron. Did I say everything?
I think so.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Again, the record will reflect that panel member Page is going on consent based on Mr. Lavosi's criminal history and the offense being committed while he was on probation. Okay, so Mr. Lavosi, I know that was a lot. You will receive all of this in writing very shortly, and we wish you the best of luck. All right, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Lawrence Lavosi, MA number 386.
Okay, again, it's going to take me a while to get used to these type of hearings, this style. This is when he was arrested. He doesn't look as emaciated as really I was picturing. We have seen we have seen much worse, and I guess that's because his choice of narcotics is heroin versus what we've seen so much of in Louisiana, which is a lot of meth and crack, really. Um, I it's going to take me a while to get used to this stuff, but they have different programs. Do we say programs? I think so. In the last conversation we had, we said we're going to keep it in the family, the Mandoo family. We'll stick to programs. So let's make that decision. We're going to call it programs. They have different names for the programs. They have different things that he's talking about. Apparently, according to him and the board, and I believe it, he came from a very affluent family. He's an artist. He's, has everything going for him, and then goes down the path of narcotics. And yeah, that'll do it for you. Now, Richard provided this information, and there are some like addresses and things on this document. So I'm not going to share it, but I'll read it to you. And I'm not going to share it because you just you don't know what YouTube will consider a strike, and I don't want to mess around with that. That in YouTube you get 3 strikes and they just shut your channel down. It could be 3 strikes over the course of 10 years. If you want to talk about the most stringent system that exists, much more strict than any parole hearing we've seen, that would be the YouTube strike system. Oh gosh, hold on a second. Oh, and I just realized it now. Richard actually includes a link of his father and him blowing glass, and it says on big letters on top of the picture, copyright. So, I really don't want to mess around with that. But can you imagine? Wow, you're a newspaper, you're gonna copyright a picture of 2 people making glass. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why? Okay, but that's besides the point. Man, drugs are a scary thing. That is all. So anyways, let's go back to the article that we have that goes through the details of like that recent arrest. So they say at the time, late 20s, man and woman were found by police on December 31st in possession of heroin, needles, and cell phone that had just been stolen from a downtown business, according to the police. The Darien police described what had happened with this account, including assertion not proven in court. So an employee at the Verizon store called the police at 1:05 p.m. on Monday, December 31st. Can you imagine doing this? December 31st, right? Then you get to spend your New Year's in jail. To tell them that a phone had just been stolen from the store. The employee gave police a description of the young man and woman. Now, the police found the couple walking together, and they were later identified. Police told the couple to stop, and they did so immediately, or at least Bayram did so immediately, but our parolee here did not. He continued walking away from the officers, ignoring their orders. He eventually did comply with the commands to stop and take his hands out of his pocket, but as he removed his hands from his pockets, police saw that he was holding a hypodermic needle. Can you imagine? He's like so blitzed he doesn't even realize that he's pulls out a needle out of his pocket. He was told to drop the needle and immediately did so. Police found that the needle had been used. When police searched him, they found a package of more dope. I should call it that, right? I don't know what I call it, what YouTube, pipe used for smoking Pepsi Cola. So he was on that stuff. Wow. And for Pepsi Cola, and a second hypodermic needle, which was capped. While searching him, they found a Google Pixel 3 phone, which, by the way, I am a Pixel user. I love my Pixel phone, with a security device attached to it. Oh, man. The device is usually associated with the phone being tethered to a display counter to make it harder to steal the phone. Police also found that the phone was in demo mode, typically of a phone on display at the store. She denied that she stole the phone, but she offered to pay for it if she wasn't arrested. The manager of the Verizon store later identified the phone as the one that had been stolen. The phone is valued at $300. Near where the couple were taken into custody, there was a parked vehicle that they had identified as theirs. The police canine, Kenny, alerted police that narcotics were in the vehicle, and police search turned up a used syringe, a spoon, and several small plastic bags with white powder residue on them. By the way, the whole canine thing, I've been seeing a lot of YouTube documentaries and whatever, just stuff and it seems that there are a lot of people that feel that the whole thing is kind of like almost like a kind of a scheme, like the dogs alert at a certain percent, like a pretty high percentage that is actually not accurate. And of course the handler can make the dog alert. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Of course, we all know how incredible a dog's nose is, but I heard there's a lot of problems with it. Every dog can be trained differently. Dogs are kind of, they want to alert. That's because they're rewarded with treats and blah, 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 and how things, all that works, right? At first identified herself to police with a false name, which resulted in her being charged with interfering with a police officer. So they were each charged with fifth-degree larceny, possession of narcotics, and possession of drug paraphernalia, all misdemeanors. Well, that was all misdemeanors. But he was charged with conspiracy to commit fifth-degree larceny, also misdemeanor, and according to the Connecticut judge or judicial branch website, failure to keep narcotics in its original container, a felony. Which narcotics were they talking about there? Like, what's that even mean? They were each released on $7,500 bonds, and each is scheduled to appear on January 11th. Oh, so they were able to spend New Year's together. Now it says that they had long criminal records. Convictions. On October 5th, Barham pleaded guilty in state superior court to second-degree breach of peace based on October 30, 2017 arrest. She was sentenced to 6 months in jail. Sentence was suspended and 18 months probation. He was convicted, has a conviction on record is longer. So his record includes possession of narcotics in March, October, failure to appear in court in October 2017, possession of narcotics with intent to sell, arrested in May 2010, convicted that September. He was charged with third-degree strangulation in May 2014 and pled guilty to the charge in August 2015. I guess that's what they were talking about. They have other criminal records pending, mostly in state superior court in Waterbury. Oof. I mean, they're like, they're little charges except for the strangulation thing. That's always scary. So remember when they were busted, it was 2019, and this hearing took place in 2024. So kind of a long, clumsy unpacking, but I'm getting used to this new Connecticut thing. You tell me what you think. I don't know. I kind of feel it was a little bit, I just love Louisiana. I guess I didn't realize how much I love doing them after doing these, but maybe we'll get some more interesting hearings. And we'll take a while to figure out the board. So we'll keep on doing this. Thank you, Richard, for the info. Let's move